Hi everyone, and welcome back to A Doodle a Day with Mrs. Rivera. As always, all we're going to need is a piece of paper, pencil, and or a marker. I always use a Sharpie so that it's much easier for you to see. So a special request that we received was, Mrs. Rivera, how do you draw a birthday cake? How do you draw cakes? Because a lot of kids are in quarantine, as we know, and there are a lot of kids that are making cards or signs for their friends, so they wanted to know how to draw a cake or a cupcake that looked really cool with candles and decorations on it. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to draw a cake, okay? So the first thing I'm going to suggest is let's start probably about here so that we can draw a base for the cake so it's not just floating in the air. So let's start right here. Okay, and now let's make that look like a very thin rectangle, like so. Okay, don't worry if it's a little, my line looks a little funky, but that's okay because once we start adding the details for the cake, it's not really going to matter. All right, now let's go to the bottom here so we can create the base, like so. Okay. Then let's go like this and like this, almost as if we were making half circles, but okay, try to make sure that they're even so that it looks like the cake isn't going to be wobbling over. And then let's close that up. Okay, perfect. Now that we have a base to put our cake on, let's get started on creating our cake. So most cakes have 2 to 3 layers, depending on the size that you want. I think we should make our cake have at least 2 layers, and I would like the top to be a little empty so that we can add a cake topper. So let's go right to the side here. It's almost as if we were making a rectangle, like so. Okay? And let's add a whole nother layer right on top, like this. And I think we have enough space that we're going to be able to add 3 layers. Okay? I like nice big cakes, so I'm going to say let's do it. Let's make 3 layers on our cake. Okay? Now cakes have frosting right at the bottom here, and they have frosting on the top that's silhouetted. So right down here, almost as if we were doing a wavy line, right? You're gonna make this here. It's almost like little bumps, right? It's as if you were repeating the letter C. So we're gonna do that. Let's go into the next layer, same thing. So it looks like it has that piping, that nice frosting. And let's do it to our 3rd layer, same thing. And now let's add some really cool, now traditional cakes have like those scallops that are up here. If you want to do that, you can do that. We can scallop it all the way on the top, all right? So let's make it like a traditional fancy one. So we're gonna go like this, almost as if you were doing the letter U, but you're going to make it a little wider so that it really scallops nicely. And if you run out of space, continue as if you were doing it, because remember the cake is round, so it would have that feel to it. Let's do the same thing here. These could be a little smaller, right? Because the layer on that, on the cake, the 2nd layer is a little smaller. And again, if you don't finish it off, that's perfectly fine. And yet again, now I'm going to double these up so that when you're creating your cake, you're able to color that. It's called piping. That piping, you're able to color it in so it really looks like frosting on your cake. Okay, let's do the same thing here. And then when you color these in, you're really able to give that a different color than the frosting that your cake would have here. All right, Now, there's cakes that have a whole bunch of other designs and layers to it. You can totally do that. Decorate your cake however you want. I don't want to get too busy with the cake because then it starts to take away from it. So I don't want to go too crazy with it. All right. If you want, down here, you can add like a little flower. Sometimes cakes have flowers. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. So you can do that right to the sides, like so. Add some little flower petals, depending on what type of cake you want. If you're making the design for a boy, maybe instead of scalloping it like that, you can make a beach themed cake and turn those into seashells or something like that. Okay, so now that we have our little details on the side, now let's do some sort of a decoration up here. Now, cake toppers either have candles or they have number candles that they put on the top, because when it's someone's birthday, you have to be able to blow the candles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the number on the top here for my topper into the candles. So I'm going to do the number 11. Okay, so we're going to start, let's make them 2 candles, the number 11, and depending on who you're making your cake for, you can design it to have the different numbers. Now right on top here, because we're going to turn it into candles, you're going to put the little candle wick like so. Now this cake also has an 11 because today is the birthday of a very special young lady, and I'm dedicating the doodle today to Miss Emily Poling. Today is her birthday, and even though she's in quarantine, she should know that she's really loved by her parents and all her friends and family. So we're going to wish her a very special happy quarantine birthday. So this 11th birthday cake is to celebrate Emily today. So now that we have our number 11 here and we have our wick, let's add the flames so that Emily and any other kids that are celebrating their quarantine can have their cake. So let's do the flames on our cake like so. I know for a fact that Emily is a sports fan, and I think it would be cool if we could, when we put the tablecloth on here, that we decorate her tablecloth with, I'm gonna say basketball, because she's on the basketball team. So now that we have our candles on our cake, let's ground it. And remember, we always ground it by adding the lines right at the bottom so that it looks like your cake is mounted on something. And like I said, because today's Emily's special day, I'm going to decorate the tablecloth with basketballs so that it really is reminiscent of the fact that it's for her special day. So when you're drawing a basketball, because it's going to be on the tablecloth, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, because you wouldn't see necessarily the whole ball. So let's just start with a piece like that. And we're going to go like this. And then almost as if we were doing the letter T, you're going to go across. Now, a lot of kids always forget that the basketball has that shape on the side, that rounded. It's almost like 2 letter C's. So let's add another basketball right down here. This one, let's make it a little bigger on that tablecloth. And again, let's do that letter T. And on this side, let's add that shape that almost looks like a C. And we might even be able to fit the other one just barely here. Perfect. In order to make it look like it's moving, let's do our action lines. There you go. So now we have our tablecloth with our basketballs on it, right? You might even want to put some 11s. I'm just going to do some minor decorations on it so that it really has more of a tablecloth feel. Like this. Okay? As always, let's initial our illustration and the year for 20. And there you have it. If you have to make any signs for a friend or someone that you know that is celebrating a birthday, feel free to draw them a cake, because now you know how to draw them a cake, and even create a tablecloth that's really more for your friend or your family member style. There you have it. Until next time, happy birthday, Emily. I hope you had a great day today.